on all of your platforms. Where can they go?
Sure. McKim Daniel is my stuff. I'm most active on Instagram and Twitter, I'd say. But yeah, like you said earlier, putting stuff out on LinkedIn, which has been interesting. People are like, I didn't expect to see a goofy video on LinkedIn. It's kind of
Institute.com. LesNorman.com is the place for me for the podcast, info, the book, everything. Twitter at LNorman22. Facebook, just go to the name, Breaking the Norm, or the name Les Norman, and email Les at LesNorman.com. Tell me the good, tell me the bad. Just don't rant to rant. Go do that on social media somewhere. But if you got something constructive,
coming right to you guys, just going to hit the ID and then throw it to you, okay?
I'm all in, and you have my ears. Until next time, I'm Les Norman, and you've been listening to Breaking the Norm.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades. Track Talk. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, race fans. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Race Boys Broadcasting Network. Don't forget, you can always watch the in-studio cameras on our Facebook page. It's at Racing Boys Network. Or you could watch it on Twitter at Racing Boys. Or you can watch it on our YouTube page as well. Or the fourth and final option, you could always watch it on racingboys.tv. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the Racing Boys. Todd and Deidre helping us out here at the studio at Racing Boys HQ. Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB. How's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay?
Well, I got more sleep than you. You drove all the way back from Waukene, Kansas last night. That's unbelievable.
I did, but I had motivation to get back and sleep in my own bed.
Well, the good news is after the show you can sleep all day to catch up, right?
Well, no, I probably won't do that. I'll probably take a little cat nap. But, I got in about 4:30. Probably by the time I got to bed, it was about 5 o'clock. Late night last night. Man, let me tell you, what was the name of that driver?
Scott Cochran.
Let me tell you, folks, last night at Waukene Speedway in Waukene, Kansas, about 300 miles from Kansas City out I-70, I saw one of the scariest wrecks that I've witnessed. I don't know, 20 years probably, Kirk. I'd be honest with you, I thought I saw a man perish last night.
That was frightening, to say the least.
So frightening, I didn't get the camera on.
Well, describe what happened. You were the camera guy last night.
Last night, I was the camera guy, and as the cars were coming through 3 and 4, a white car, number 16, full throttle, never lifted, wide open, head on into the K-rail off of turn 4. And I'm going to tell you, folks, it crunched this car all the way to the firewall. And if he would have went one way or the other and would have hit one of those poles head on, we might have had a different outcome. So a little bit of luck involved last night. But let me tell you, folks, that was as scary a wreck as I've ever seen. The K-rail went all the way to the firewall on the right side of that car. There's so many things that could have happened here. We're looking at pictures online, if you were watching on the show. As you see, they had to cut off the top of his car to get him out of the car because he was kind of pinned in it. But as you can see, that car is crushed all the way to the firewall. It is unbelievable that anybody got out of this car and walked away. And he was signing autographs after the races.
And this happened during the feature event of the Lucas Oil ASCS.
Right. Yep.
And, when you started seeing the car hit straight towards the fence, the first thing you're thinking of, the first thing I thought
have
of.
the camera on it when he initially started towards the fence?
You did.
But I got so worried for the person that my camera instinct went completely out the window. Because when I saw him headed towards that guardrail, I thought, this is it. This this is it.
Well, we all thought that. All of us that were watching that live last night, when and we didn't see the direct impact as you were moving the camera just a little bit, but when he first started heading towards the wall at high speed, my first thought was, oh my God.
Right.
And the tense minutes after that happened, to sit there and wait. I mean, I had my head down.
No.
I'm thinking, oh my.
Let me explain something about that last night. As a cameraman, normally we wouldn't leave our camera on that shot. But I was privileged to information
that he was going to be okay.
That he was okay. So I put the camera back over there on him just because I knew that he was okay.
You knew that before Brian Holbert announced
Long
it to the crowd.
before anybody announced it. I knew that he was awake and alert. The problem was getting him out of the car.
He was pinned in the car.
He was pinned in the car.
But he was awake and alert. They knew pretty much right away he was awake and alert. But the injuries that could have happened here, despite surviving the crash, but the injuries could have been catastrophic.
Oh, my gosh.
And to think that he came back to the racetrack, they took him into the hospital, and then he came back to the racetrack and was signing autographs after that. I mean, that's just by the grace of God that he was able to, first of all, be well enough, and he's okay. I guess he had some injuries to his lower legs, maybe, but it wasn't serious, apparently.
It wasn't serious enough that he felt like he couldn't get back and do some autographs after the race. So,
but that incident overshadowed, and what a great run by Jason Martin last night. I mean, he's a local guy. He's originally from around the Waikini, Kansas area.
He knows. He
dominated that race last night.
Listen, Kirk, he knows those tracks like the back of his hand.
Yeah, he showed that.
And he showed it last night because, listen, if you beat Dylan Westbrook, and Dylan Westbrook is as clean and as fast as anybody on the national tour right now, the most consistent guy. Scotty said this last night. I don't know if he's looked it up or did his homework, but he's been the most consistent guy outwardly looking in as anybody since we've been back from the Pacific Northwest.
Since he won that feature at Knoxville right before he headed to the Pacific Northwest.
He won a regional event. Yeah. He won a national event.
I mean, that race win at Knoxville infused a lot of confidence in Dylan Westbrook.
Yeah.
And he's really carried that forward. And that race he won down at Caney, Kansas during Speed Week just kind of topped it off. But, he's a factor right now. There's no doubt about it. Jason Martin doesn't run the full Lucas Oil ASCS circuit, but boy, he sure had it going on last night. Let's hear from Jason Martin, the big winner last night at Waikini, Kansas.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Mostly because I came here by myself. I wasn't planning on having any help, and this kid back here, Cade, he keeps sticking around, and he's been going and working for other people and learning, and I called him yesterday and I said, dude, I need some help. So they went racing and he came and helped me, and man, it's just been awesome. I love racing with that kid. I love racing with all the supporters I got. Obviously, DJ Bybee and Bybee Electric. He supplies me with the best motors money can buy. And Adam Kofer built this thing, and that thing runs. I mean, it's been one of the best motors I've had, so I'm really proud of that. And my wife and kids sitting at home probably cheering like crazy. Mike Rizak, thanks for helping us with fuel and everything else you do. I couldn't do it without these people. All these people that come out here and sit in the stands. It's been a long night, man. Really cool to see this many people out here in a little small town in western Kansas, and that's where I'm from, so that's where the heart is.
Here. There you go. And for him to show up by himself and had that kid helping him out.
Let me tell you, we all worried about how many cars we were going to get there. The car count was a little short, right? We get that. We had 15, 16 cars out there last night, but we had packed grandstands, and the fans were thrilled with the action that they got. So I think it's and they were all glad to see Scott walk away from that wreck down there in Turn 4.
Oh, yeah. That's I mean, everybody walked out of there, I'm sure, with a sigh of relief after that happened. That is for sure. And they also had the 305 sprints last night, too. Jeremy Hulsch winning the 305 sprint car feature last night, and Cody Greinhardt winning the modified feature. So congratulations to everybody over there. Hey, we had a lot of great racing this week that we need to talk about. Last night at I-80 Speedway, the World of Outlaws were in action. Donnie Schatz picking up a dominating victory, working the low side of the racetrack to perfection at that big, fast half-mile at I-80 Speedway last night.
That was the only broadcast you watched last night?
I watched others. Probably the best race of the night was the non-wing race at the opening night of the Sprint Car Smackdown at Kokomo Speedway last night. One of the great non-wing sprint car races you will ever see. Justin Grant picking up the feature victory last night, and man, there's just so much to talk about that race. Kyle Cummins looked like he was going to get it done at the end. Before that, Tanner Thorson had taken the lead from C.J. Leary, and it appeared that Tanner Thorson was the guy to beat. But here comes Kyle Cummins. He grabs the lead, and here comes Justin Grant to make a big race out of it. And probably the biggest surprise of the night was Brady Bacon, who had some kind of mechanical problem. Early in the race, he came from the back of the pack to finish sixth, but Chris Wyndham coming from 10th spot to end up second. There were just so many back and forth runs last night. To me, it's the best non-wing sprint car race I've seen this year, and they're going to do it twice today at Kokomo. They've got the race that got rained out on Thursday night this afternoon, and then they'll run the finale tonight at Kokomo.
Well, if you have a Racing Boys TV app, if you have the app, we have a few races going yet this weekend.
Yep.
Tonight, we're going to have the USAC MWRA from Salinas Speedway. That will be live on Racing Boys tonight, so if you want to watch that, you're more than welcome to. Also, we're going to have ASCS Frontier Region action from Big Sky Speedway. That's up in Belgrade, Montana.
Yeah, they had the Frontier Region last night at Gallatin Speedway. Where,
it was at Belgrade last night.
Right. Logan Forler coming through with a
Big Sky Speedway is in Billings.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Big Sky Speedway, you'll be able to watch ASCS Frontier Region action as well. And then tomorrow, if you haven't had enough, you can watch ASCS Sooner Region action live from Creek County Speedway tomorrow night. So we've got 3 more broadcasts, live video broadcast on Racing Boys this weekend. Again, tonight, Salinas Speedway, USAC MWRA, and ASCS Frontier Region action from Big Sky Speedway in Billings, Montana. Then tomorrow, a final reminder, don't forget, ASCS Sooner Region action at Creek County Speedway in Sapulpa, Oklahoma.
And what a busy Labor Day weekend we have next weekend. We've got a ton of broadcasts.
How many do we have next week?
We've got about, I didn't count up the total number. There's so many of them, but 6 or 8 total broadcasts next weekend.
Yeah.
Beginning on Friday night all the way through Monday. I think next Saturday, a week from today, I think we got 4 different broadcasts on one night. Next Saturday night, you're going to be over at Lake Ozark Speedway for the LOS Nationals next weekend, but we got a ton of stuff coming up next weekend, Labor Day weekend on Racing Boys TV. Check it out.
Well, we'll be going down the old Osage National and staying down there at our favorite place to stay during the Lake Ozark Speedway races. It's one of our great friends down there, Jason, been very good to us, so we're going to be staying down there by the dam, hanging out a little bit. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Always look forward to going to Lake Ozark Speedway. What Kenny Brown and what Kevin Greben have done with that racetrack has just been fabulous down there. And they're having great success, and I hope they continue to have that success in the future because they're open-wheel people. As you know, we're kind of open-wheel fans around here ourselves. But hopefully it'll be all good next week.
And there's been some great races here in recent weeks.
Is the weather supposed to cool down next week?
I haven't heard. It's supposed to. The front's supposed to be coming through on Sunday. Hopefully it'll cool down some.
Boy, was it hot yesterday out there in the middle of Kansas.
Oh, hot everywhere.
Oh, no, it was really hot out there.
And windy out in western
Really
Kansas,
windy out there. Yeah, for sure.
We've seen so many great races over this last week, Scott. I mean, we talked already about a couple of them, but last Saturday night, for you late model fans, what a finish down at the Topless 100 at Batesville, Arkansas last Saturday night. Hudson O'Neill, who won the Show Me 100 at Lucas Oil Speedway over the Memorial Weekend, picks up his second crown jewel, and the slide jobs he and Jonathan Davenport were putting on each other there at the end. Davenport made a move coming out of the fourth turn, looked like he was going to make it stick, but Hudson O'Neill was able to hold on for a thrilling victory at Batesville, Arkansas. Wednesday night, the Outlaws were in North Dakota at River City Speedway. This is a makeup from a rainout that was supposed to be last Friday night. The run that Brad Sweet made after that last restart, coming from fourth position with about 4 to 5 laps to go, I didn't think there was any way he could make a run towards the checkered flag. Sheldon Hodenshield had the lead. But the move that Brad Sweet made in those last 3 to 4 laps to not only get himself up from fourth but challenge for the lead and get by Sheldon Hodenshield there at the checkered flag, that was a great finish on Wednesday night for the Outlaws. And, we've just seen so many great races. Even the NASCAR Cup Series, what a great race.
Casey Kane do in the 83 car?
Last night at I'll go down through the results here in just a little bit. But I was going to say, just finish up with my thought, even the Cup race at Michigan. We saw one of the best NASCAR races at Michigan that we've seen in quite a number of years as Ryan Blaney comes through and holds off William Byron and Kyle Larson in that Cup race at Michigan. I thought it was one of the best Michigan races we've seen in quite a long time. So everywhere, there are just so many great races talked about here over this last week.
Well, listen, if it's not on dirt, it's not that good.
Well, I like if it's great racing. I mean, you're an old pavement guy,
and that's coming from a pavement.
You're
racer.
A pavement guy.
I know it.
So I mean, if it's great racing, I don't care if it's dirt or pavement or whatever it is. But
newsflash: dirt racing's more exciting than pavement.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll agree with that, but
sure.
We just have to say it the truth. There was a great race at Michigan last weekend.
Right. Well, Larson proving once again that he's still one of the greatest in the world, right?
Yes, sir.
Is he the greatest in the world right now?
Right now he is. You've said this now for quite a number of years. Yeah, he's the greatest in the world right now. Yeah, there's not much argument about that.
No. Kirk, we're hearing that our old friend, it's been a tough week.
Oh, it's been horrible.
I should wait till the next segment because there's so many people to talk about, right?
John O'Neill Sr.
Well, listen, the toughest one of the week for me, obviously, is John O'Neill Sr. And let me just start with him real quick. Let me tell you about John O'Neill Sr. John O'Neill Sr. Passed away from COVID this week. Longtime friend of mine. Used to have lunch with him out at Goober's, out at Fred's, FRE. There was a group of us guys that used to meet almost every day. We would meet out at Fred's. And we'd have a bench racing session before we'd go eat lunch. And then we'd have a bench racing session while we're eating lunch. And then when we get back from the racetrack, back from eating, we'd have another kind of just a bench racing session. Goober could never get any work done because we were all standing around talking, right? And one of my favorite people of all time, of those people that there was a couple of them, Cecil Taylor, one, John O'Neill, the other one. And I just got to say this, that John O'Neill Sr. could have treated me like dirt if he wanted to, because in 1990, John O'Neill Jr. was killing the field at Lakeside and I-70. The week before, Al Botenhammer, I believe, claimed John O'Neill. They did not allow them to get their cylinder heads and intake manifold. Cost him the championship. The following week, and I will tell you, I was put up to it by another team, and I claimed John O'Neill at Lakeside. Cost them the championship. So, for all purposes, they should have hated me because I cost him the championship at Lakeside. But he never treated me like that. In fact, I bought a pickup truck from John O'Neill Sr. I bought a set of Dart cylinder heads from him. John turned me on to a guy down in North Carolina that nobody knew about, where I could get a camshaft. I sold my mom's car to John O'Neill Sr. so he could give it to his daughter. So I had a great relationship with John O'Neill Sr. And I'm going to tell you something about John. He was willing to help anybody just about at any time. He was one of the great bright minds of motorsports in this community. Listen, there's 2 or 3 people that if you really wanted to know what's going on around here, you had to ask John O'Neill Sr. He was one of those people, right? One of the smartest guys I've ever met, and willing to help a guy that claimed them and cost him a championship. Now, what kind of guy is that? That's a good guy. John O'Neill Sr. was one of the great guys. He had an infectious smile. I got to see him out at Lakeside Speedway when we had our race out there. He was on the golf cart. He looked like he was feeling pretty good, but unfortunately things took a turn for the worst, and COVID got him. If I lose another friend to COVID, I am going to scream on the air one of these days. I'm tired of it. Just saying, I'm tired of it. Now, people could be mad at me if they want, but please get a vaccine. Please. I mean, I know it's your choice, and that's all good. But I'm tired of losing my friends to COVID. See, we're the ones that have to suffer after you're gone, right? Just remember that. When you're gone, we're back here, we're still suffering. So do us a favor, get the vaccine. I've got some of my best friends don't want to get it. And I plead with them, please get it. I mean, it's not going to keep you from getting the COVID, but if you do get it, it's going to help you survive. And that's all I'm going to say about that. All right, John O'Neill Sr., again, going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he was set to go into the Hall of Fame with his son John Jr.
What is the Hall of Fame?
October 2nd, and it's going to be a tough night. I'll tell you.
Tough night.
We lost Carla Lane, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
and not seeing John, not seeing Carla, some of the others that we've lost, and we're thinking about Rayleigh Goodwin this morning. Rayleigh Goodwin is
not in good shape.
He's a legend.
1968 Knoxville Nationals champion.
He's one of my heroes, and we're thinking about you, Ray. If you're listening, go get him.
Keep fighting, Ray.
Yep.
Keep fighting, buddy.
The other loss this week, Robin Miller, one of the outspoken voices that we heard in open wheel racing, lost his life to cancer at the age of 71. He was a writer for 33 years for the Indianapolis Star, one of the big voices and writers for open wheel racing.
One of the most outspoken columnists in the country.
You appreciate that.
I do. Absolutely.
Told it like it is.
Yep.
He was a real character and a real force in motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Miller, not with us anymore. We lost Bob Jenkins a couple of weeks ago. Ramo Stott, we talked about that last week. There's been
Randy
so
Herzog
many.
we lost.
Yes. Randy Herzog was a big influence in Jimmy Johnson's life. Big team owner. He and his brother Stan.
Yep.
He and his brother Stan
had an Xfinity team at one point.
They were from not far from here, up in the St. Joe area. And Randy Herzog no longer with us.
Right. And for us drummers, Charlie Watts passed away.
The Rolling Stones drummer.
Yep. That's kind of sad, too.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more track talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It's made in America, and it's sold to the world. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk
As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur,
Fellas,
causing the
I had a
power
gentleman
steering system to
call
lose
in
fluid.
who,
Your power
who
steering
felt
system
like
may
you guys
also
were
develop
getting
an annoying
political.
squeal,
He wanted
and the
you guys
steering
to
may become
stop
more
being
difficult
so
to
political.
handle.
So I said if he had some
By using
opinions, he
Lucas
should create
Power
his own
Steering
damn
Stop
show.
Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and
Okay.
pinion,
All right.
eliminate the
Thanks for that.
squeals and hard spots in your
I'm
power
not agreeing
steering
with the
system.
guy. I just felt like
It
you
is
guys know
guaranteed
that
to stop
somebody's
seal
an
leaks
idiot.
for
Do
your
you guys
money
ever
back.
get calls from
Lucas
people
Power
thinking they're
Steering
too
Stop
political?
Leak. It works.
All the
the
time.
Alzheimer's
And those
Association
people
Walk to
are
End Alzheimer's
usually
is
ridiculous.
full of flowers, each
Those
carried
are
by
Keesman-
someone committed to ending this
those are
disease.
Keesman fans.
And right now, we need you to join us for the Kansas City Walk on October 3rd. Because when you take part in the walk, you're helping to raise funds and awareness for a breakthrough in the fight
he was
against
like,
Alzheimer's
I'm like,
and all
sir,
other
if you
dementia.
even listen to what
Whether
they're
this is
talking
your
about,
first
they've had
walk or
personal
you've done it every
experiences they're
year.
going to show.
Right
This is
now,
their
we need
show.
you
They
to
can talk
add
about
your
whatever the hell they
flower to
want.
the fight. Because like flowers, we aren't stopping. Join us at alzwalkkc.org.
Thanks, man.
Don't miss the Garmin Kansas City
No
Marathon
problem.
on Saturday, October 16th.
hate motherfuckers
This
like
is
that.
Kansas City's most exciting race, and this year the race features a new course that runs past Casey's favorite local landmarks and finishes in front of the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. The Garmin Casey Marathon has distance options for all fitness levels with a 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. And you won't want to miss the Finish Line Festival with free food, free beer, and live music after the race. It's the Garmin Kansas City Marathon on Saturday, October 16th. Register today at caseymarathon.org.
$0.7 billion on the internet. At DigiLagoon, we've been making companies stand out since 1995. This past year, more people have used the web than ever before to find exactly what they wanted. When was your site's last facelift? Is it mobile friendly? Does it have an SEO strategy? Is your social media presence designed to drive traffic to your site? DigiLagoon is the answer to all these questions and all your creative and marketing needs. Check us out at lagoon.com. That's lagoon.com.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. Victory Auto Group has joined a nationwide network of auto dealers looking to purchase inventory that collectively bid for your vehicle. Would you like to know what they are willing to pay for your car, whether you buy another or not? For your simple no-hassle quote, just text your name to 913-229-6384. You can also visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, or online at victoryfordkc.com. Victory Ford, where our first price is better than their last.
Make some dough and earn some dough with a career or even part-time work at Domino's. Domino's is now hiring delivery drivers, assistant managers, and general managers. Earn up to $20 per hour, including mileage. Domino's offers flexible schedules, advancement opportunities, employee discounts, and career opportunities leading to six-figure incomes. Plus, you're eligible for full benefits
Coming
after
back,
just
fellas.
1 year of employment when you average 30 hours per week. Apply today by texting Pizza Jobs to 484848. That's Pizza Jobs to 484848.
Track Talk.
Oh, there you go. Little Charlie Watts there. I don't know how they're going to handle that without Charlie. What was he, 80?
80 years old.
You know, Charlie Watts was a drummer. He really enjoyed jazz. Did you know that, Kurt? He was a jazz
I
drummer.
read that.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched a bit on him where he was doing a bit with some other jazz musicians. Did I mention that I went to bed at 5 o'clock this morning?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, one other, since we're talking about people that we've lost
Yep.
here, for you country music fans, I'm a big old-time country fan. Tom T. Hall died here this past week as well, so
What
he
did
was
he
one
die
of my
of?
favorites. I don't know. Of course, he was getting up there in age. So, hey, one other guy I'm thinking about here this morning. We haven't talked about him a lot. It's a good friend of ours, Greg Stevens, who
the captain.
I met Greg. Oh gosh, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Up at Knoxville. He was videographer from way back, and
he is what we would call one of the great pioneers of this business.
Yes, he was. I remember before they even had a media room up at Knoxville Nationals, Greg Stevens was the videographer back then, and I had my recorder and microphone down there in Victory Lane grabbing interviews and so forth. And when they first started having a media center up at the Knoxville Nationals, the first two, I was there, and Greg Stevens was there. And he he was just such an impact, and he's still with us, by the way. Greg, if you're listening, we're thinking about you, going through some tough times right now, praying for you. It's it's
not
tough.
It's not good for
it's
not good for the captain.
Yeah,
for sure.
So anyway,
but Captain, we know you're a fighter, and you're not going to give up easy.
And he's a Sprint Car Hall of Famer.
Henry, oh gosh, the captain was Henry.
But
good guy though.
But anyway, we're thinking about
if there was anybody that should be looked at as one of the leading pioneers of this industry, it would be Greg Stevens.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to thank our friends that are listening in from Australia this morning. Darren, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Dave Tyson hanging out with us. Daryl's also hanging out with us as well this morning. Let us know where you're listening from. You know something, Kirk? I was driving out to Waukene, and you really don't understand the power of Sports Radio 810 WHB until you drive to the west on I-70. I was 300 miles away from Kansas City, and I was still listening to 810 on the radio.
How about that? It shoots out there, doesn't it?
It way out. I was past Hays, Kansas, and I was still listening to it. It is unbelievable, and you just don't realize how many people out in the rural area that are listening to what we do here on Saturday mornings. We want to thank all those people because we know a lot of farmers, people live out in rural areas, are race fans, and we just want to thank you for being a part of this show because it's just remarkable. And how blessed have we been, Kirk, to be on this same radio station for 22 years together, basically on the same time slot, all those years. We just need to thank Chad Boger and everybody at Sports Radio 810 for what they do for the Racing Boys, what they've done for us for all these years, and everything that they've done for us to get us in the position of what we have here today, because really it all started with Sports Radio 810 WHB, and it's just a miracle, the reach that this radio station has. It's quite remarkable, and that's why it's billed as the largest sports radio station in the country. So many people out there in the rural areas that are race fans, thank you for listening to the show. I just wanted to, I just got to thinking about that as I was driving out. Man, we're out here. How many people to listen to us on Saturday morning? For the ones that are out there, maybe on a combine or something, thank you. We appreciate you.
And be safe, people. That's all we care about. We just want our people to be safe.
Yeah. Hey, so what, Nina Jennington says she's on her way to Knoxville listening to the Racing Boys. And let me tell you.
Big night at Knoxville tonight.
Yeah. I thought about going up there.
Championships on the line.
Yeah. Be a good night to go, wouldn't it?
It would be. It's
I talked to Matt Covington last night after the races. His plans originally were to go up there and race, but he had some brake issues last night, so he decided that he's going to go home and work on his car and try to make it better instead of going up to Knoxville tonight. So Matt Covington will not be making an appearance up there tonight at Knoxville Raceway, the world capital of sprint car racing, straight across the street from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum.
We got one other sprint car, the Sooner region, going to be at Caney Valley Speedway tonight, or Caney, Kansas.
You know what, Kirk?
We're not able to do that broadcast because we don't have a shooter tonight, unless you want to go down there and do it.
How far away is that?
I don't know. I've never been to Caney, Kansas.
I think it's an hour from Tulsa. I don't know if I have it in me. I'm a little beat up.
You need some sleep, and
I'm going to need some sleep.
You might be a little bit short, but we were short a camera guy tonight, so we're not able to do that. But tomorrow night, we've got it covered. Tomorrow night at the Creek County Speedway. Oh, by the way, one of the events that we're going to do at Creek County next weekend is the Ironman 55. They put a lot of money on the line for that Champ Non-Wing Sprint Car race. I'm not sure what the purse money is up to, but it is significant. It's going to be a week from tonight at Creek County Speedway, and if you can't make it to Creek next Saturday, we got it live for you right here on Racing Boys.
Shout out to Tim, Jerry Lee, and Tim for listening in on the show. They give us a shout-out on the Facebook chat room. Kirk, did Lakeside get in last night?
They did, and I haven't got the results of that yet, but we'll dig into that here in just a little bit.
They didn't send them to you yet?
Well, I haven't got it yet, so it could be in the email file just as we came to air, but we'll dig into Lakeside Speedway here in just a couple minutes. Hey, I was going to finish at Knoxville. You know, we got the championships going on.
How about
tonight.
US 36? You got their results?
I don't have their results yet either, but we'll dig those up here.
He's
before
not
the end
quite
of the show
Curtis.
and get that. Well, we don't have it. I don't have it handy right now. We had so many big-time races going on last night that kind of took a little bit of priority over the weekly stuff, but we'll dig into it here just a little bit.
Well, we don't want to forget our local racers.
Right.
They didn't post it on Facebook either yet.
We don't have it yet. But
Lakeside.
Oh, they didn't.
It hasn't. It isn't on Facebook yet either. Usually they have it up there, so maybe they got over late last night.
Maybe.
But we'll get it for you here before the end of the show. I was going to finish. You brought up Knoxville. Big point championships on the line tonight. And two classes are going right down to the wire tonight at Knoxville. Davey Heskin, looking for his first title, has got a 78-point lead on Justin Henderson heading into tonight. Of course, Brian Brown, he's won quite a bit up there, but he hadn't been running every week at the Knoxville Raceway. So Davey Heskin, that'd be cool if he won his first ever championship up there. He's been a pretty loyal guy, but I would have figured this would be Justin Henderson's championship to lose, but he's trailing right now heading into tonight's run. Now, Ryan Giles hopes to get his first track title as well in the 360 class. Clint Garner he's an 8-time champion at Knoxville, looking for his 9th championship tonight, but he's got to take it away from Ryan Giles tonight. Garner is 80 points back. Knoxville's Jamie Bull also has a shot at the title as well, 104 points back of the leader. So that kind of puts it in perspective of how these championships are going to go down tonight at Knoxville.
And last night they had their inaugural non-wing short track nationals down at I-30 Speedway. Did you see that? Where Justin Zimmerman beat Cody Gardner down there.
How about that?
Just by inches.
By inches. So they're going to do it again tonight, the non-wing short track nationals at I-30 Speedway, Hammer Hill.
Kind of taking a play off of the 360 nationals, aren't they?
Yeah, the big event is coming up October 1st and 2nd. At the I-30 Speedway. We will not have that on Race Boys, but Flo's got that coverage.
And short track nationals will not be on Racing Boys. It's going to be on Flo.
Right.
Now,
we will have these next events coming up, as we talked about, the LOS Nationals at Lake Ozark next weekend. 2 weeks from tonight, I-80 Speedway, September 14th at the Clay County Fair in Spencer. That's one of the big county fairs in the nation. You're heading up there for that. That's a Tuesday night show. 2 nights later is the first of 3 nights of the Jesse Hockett Daniel McMillan Memorial at the Lucas Oil Speedway. Big 3-night event. That's probably the biggest event of the year. So we'll be down there covering that.
It's definitely one of them. Next weekend's going to be a pretty big event.
Yep. Yeah, the LOS Nationals have turned into a huge event at Lake Ozark Speedway.
Again, what Kenny Brown and Kevin Greven have done down there has just been great.
Non-wing cars
They've
there,
got
too.
the track all worked in now. They've got it all figured out. So I'm looking forward to getting down there and staying over there at the Osage National as well. That's where, our room. So looking forward to that. Normally I take the motorhome down there, but not needing to this week. So we'll stay over at the Osage National. It's our home away from home when we're down there around Lake Ozark Speedway.
I expect a big crowd at Lake Ozark Speedway next weekend.
That'd be a giant crowd. As long as the weather holds up, right?
Well, I don't know what the forecast is for next weekend.
I don't either. Probably ought to look into that.
It rains in Daytona every day, it seems like. Shocking. It rained out the Xfinity race last night. I mean, who'd have thunk it? It seems like it rains all the time in Daytona, and they're supposed to have the Cup race there tonight. But in the summertime, these afternoon showers come rolling in at Daytona, seems like every day. And we'll see if we can get that Cup race in tonight. This is the cutoff for the playoffs tonight. Who's going to make it in? Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick, their teammates for Richard Childress Racing, fighting for that last transfer into the playoffs. And it's going to be a wild show for the final race of the regular season for Daytona to be that race to determine who gets into the playoffs. Also a big moment tonight to see if Kyle Larson can wrap up that regular season title. That's like 15 playoff points. If he can wrap up that regular season title, that would give him a real upper hand through the playoffs to get to that Final Four in Phoenix at the end of the year.
Well, let me tell you, next Saturday and Sunday, the weather is going to be beautiful down there.
Great.
It's going to be 91 on Saturday and 88.
How do you know what the forecast is 7 days out?
Well, they got apps for that, Kurt.
Yeah. How accurate are forecasts 7 days out, though?
I don't know. It's just something to look at.
Well,
something to read.
You told me that you never think about the weather.
I don't, but I do look at it in advance just in case, you know.
I do look at it the day of the race.
Got to be a little prepared.
I do look at it the day of the race when we got all these live broadcasts going on. I'll go on there. Okay, what's it going to do in Waikini tonight? You know, and I looked at that forecast yesterday and had like a 0.5% chance of rain. And then you called me yesterday and said, they got a bad storm up north of Waikini. But I think it's going to miss us. So you just never know about this stuff.
D, you got a headache today? No? Oh, okay, I thought you might have a headache today.
What? Why would that be?
Oh, just because.
Headache because she's around you?
No, that's not me.
She's got a headache because she deals with you.
Well, I give her a headache for sure, time to time, as I do you and Todd and everybody else around here. And let me tell you about Waikini last night. That crowd last night that we had there at that racetrack, exceptional.
How about that? Terry Maddox promotion.
Huge crowd. Terry is the luckiest promoter I've ever known.
Well, you say he didn't work for it?
No, I did not. Did I say that?
Well, you said he's lucky. So what, it just happened?
Listen, to book a show out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and expect to have 15 to 20 cars, that takes guts. And he had it.
And this was the weekend you were supposed to be in Colorado. There were supposed to be two nights of racing in Colorado this weekend, and COVID shut those down? Yeah. What happened there? The Phillips County Raceway, El Paso, this was supposed to be the two dates this weekend.
I can't tell you, Kirk.
But this was a late add to the schedule after those two events got canceled. So to draw that kind of a crowd for a late entry to the schedule, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, our old buddy Bob Douglas from Rod End Supply, the great Rod End Supply company in the country, and he's also the promoter of the Midwest Lightning Sprints. He's going to join us next. They got a big race up at I-35 Speedway today. We're going to talk to Bob about that and more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
It's a massive battle in the Western Conference on Saturday night as second-place Sporting Kansas City take on third-place Colorado Rapids at 8 o'clock at Children's Mercy Park. and you can hear all of the action live right here on your home for sporting Kansas City soccer, Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Sporting KC in the Colorado Rapids, Saturday night at 8 o'clock on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Reed Buick GMC is liquidating their used car inventory right now. Hi, this is Trevin Reed. Reasonable market-based offers will not be refused. Open to the public as well as other dealers, wholesale buyers, and auctions. Reed Buick GMC is stocked up with over 200 available vehicles group-wide and available through our Tiffany Springs GMC Buick location. Every pre-owned vehicle has a minimum 6-month, 6,000-mile warranty. Call now, 816-436-6300 or go to reedbuickgmc.com. Reed Buick GMC is values driven.
Have you checked out Creekmore lately? One of the nicest upscale golf courses in Kansas City has a beautiful clubhouse. Come by for lunch or dinner at the Tavern on the Moor restaurant and bar, open to the public each day of the week, and breakfast on the weekend. They're offering daily lunch special options for only $7.99 each. The patio is also available to host just about any event. For more information or to schedule your next event, give Rick Scott a call at 816-331-2621 or visit creekmorepoa.com. The Golf Club at Creekmore. Your only short drive of the day will be getting there.
Kansas City's hometown sports station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Yeah, so I go back to what Tobe said. It's important from this standpoint that you always have 2 or 3 guys that make it on their special teams play. There are a couple spots that we have questions on. Beach has done a nice job of bringing it in. This game will help us sort it out.
When you want the latest on your favorite teams, tune into your hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Track Talk.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Remember, you can always watch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, racingboys.tv, one of your favorite apps. Check it out, racingboys.tv, folks. We've got all the places that you can watch it. You can watch it on iPhone, Apple TV, iPhone, I should say, Android TV, Roku, Fire TV. So if those are one of your favorite apps, go check it out. The new app, racingboys.tv.
And oh, by the way, Nick Bittinger won the A-Mod feature and Terry Schultz a B-Mod main at Lakeside last night.
I knew if you digged hard enough, Kirk, you'd find
you got it.
Yeah. You know, we always talk about our great friend who has been the number one supporter of Racing Boys since the beginning. The first sponsor we ever had was Rod End Supply, and he's also a promoter of the Midwest Lightning Sprints. He's a dear friend of the Racing Boys. Bob Douglas joins us now. Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Pretty good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing fantastic.
We're doing pretty good. You got a big show tonight up at I-35 Speedway, don't you?
Yes, yes, we do. It was really good that we were able to get in there tonight. The reason for it, we were supposed to have been down at Lake Ozark, but last weekend they decided to, because of the big boat races this weekend, they canceled out and weren't going to race at all. So I got in touch with Mike and Kyle up there and said, hey, you know, we've got an open date. Have you got a spot for us? And they said, sure, come on up. So, yep, we're looking forward to going back up to I-35. We've had a couple of our races rained out up there this year, so we haven't really gotten to race quite as much as we normally do.
I-35 has been a good track for you. You've had your national race up there. It seems like it's a good chemistry between you and Mike Johnson.
Yeah, we've worked together very well. We help a little bit with their barbecue that they have as far as the Rod End Supply part of it goes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they've been very good to us, and we try to support them as much as we can.
Bob, let's explain to people, because, you know, everybody knows that we do the ASCS stuff and we do a lot of, you know, the Chili Bowl and the shootout, and your class has ran down at the shootout for the last couple of years. The difference between your car and what people might be accustomed to seeing maybe at a place like Sweet Springs, tell them the difference between your car and how much more powerful it is than maybe one of those micros that you see down at Sweet Springs.
Well, our cars are this same size as a midget that runs at the Chili Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference is we don't have a quick change rear end. We have a live axle, of course, set up just like the midget, but it has a sprocket on it. And so the motorcycle engine we have in our cars versus the $35,000 to $50,000 specially built 4-cylinder engines that are in the midgets.
Mm-hmm.
Ours are 1,000 cc motorcycle engine, supposed to be stock by rule. We do tech the motors. You can change over to alcohol fuel. You can change cam timing, but you have to leave all the gears in the transmission, and so it makes them very affordable to run. You can get a motorcycle engine out of a salvage yard or off of eBay, and you can buy them anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500. They should run somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 years with standard maintenance, as long as you don't over rev them and or run them without oil.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're a very, very affordable race car. Speed-wise, when we were down at Lake Ozark, I guess 3-4 weeks ago, when the Tony Stewart's group down there, the All-Stars,
right?
We had some of our cars turning lap times a little bit faster than they were.
Wow.
So we're very fast. We run wings. Occasionally we'll run without wings. We haven't run without wings recently, but we may look at maybe adding a couple of races next year where we'll take the wings off. Don't know yet. We'll just have to discuss it a little bit. But as far as the cars versus the micro, or they also have started calling them mini sprints, those cars are a 600cc motor, chain drive, where ours are 1,000. Our tires are exactly the same as a midget. They're a 13-inch rim, where the micros are a 10-inch rim. The feet on the micro, actually, feet and legs go up beside the motor, so the motor's offset to the left side of the car. Our cars, like I said, just like a midget, we set upright in the seat behind a motor plate, and the motor's in front.
Right, so you don't have any action between the legs down there, but where anything can get you like a torque tube or anything like that.
No, because ours are chain drive.
Right.
The chain on our cars run inside the car, and there we have a chain guard, and that's another rule that we have.
Yeah.
But we have a chain guard, and so that way, if a chain comes off, it keeps the chain away from you, so you don't have to worry about getting hurt.
And one of your longtime supporters, and he's been really good for the club, is Bobby Lane, who's picked up a few wins along the way in his car, and unfortunately he lost his lovely wife here about a week or so ago. But he's been good for your series, hasn't he? A veteran sprint car driver back in the day, one of the all-time winningest IMCA modified winners. One time he was in the top 10 of all-time winners. I'm not sure he's there now, but he's been a great supporter of yours as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I tried for several years to get him in our cars, and he said, those are just motorcycle engines. And I said,
right.
Yeah, there's a little bit difference there. Until you get in one, it's hard to explain and hard to tell people that these cars are race cars, and they're extremely fast. Sometimes they're really quick as far as the reactions, as far as the driver to the car. I remember Sammy Swindell and I were talking about it. He's driven our cars before, and he says, if you want to really sharpen up your reflexes, he said, getting one of these Outlaw Mini Sprints, that's what they were called several years ago.
Right.
He said, getting one of these Outlaw Mini Sprints, he said, they'll sharpen your reflexes really quick.
Well, when I drove one, Bob, all I could think about when I got out of it, I couldn't lift my arms up to get my helmet off.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
but that was about 20 years ago.
That's true. Most of the cars still use the manual steering gear. Now, they do have an electrical assist, power assist now that you can put on them.
Yeah.
And, that's, and some people I don't think we've got maybe 1 or 2 cars that have that on there. Most everybody else runs the car with the manual steering gear in it.
Hey, Bob, you've also got had you had one big show at Central Missouri Speedway back in late June, paid a lot of money, and you're going to be back down there at CMS next weekend, too. Kind of talk about that big event you had back in late June. You had a lot of cars down there for that event.
Well, that was the POWRi National Lightning Sprint race, and that was held over. That was actually over Memorial Day. And, yes, Memorial Weekend. And it was a 2-day race. We had 43 cars there, and they were from, if I remember right, about 15 different states.
Wow.
We had some people entered from Canada, but because of the COVID deal, they couldn't get back and forth across the border, so they didn't get to come down. So, but it was a great race and a lot of fast action. Everybody enjoyed themselves. This race we've got coming up next weekend, we ran this race last year as well. Earl and Susan invited us over for that race, and once again, it's a 2-day deal. It's a Saturday and Sunday, and we've been talking to some guys over in Indiana. It seems like maybe we might have 2 or 3 of those guys come over and race with us, and so we're looking forward to going back over to CMS next weekend. In fact, I think the last couple of races we've had down there, we've been rained out, so we haven't gotten a race down there for a little while.
Bob, we've only got about a minute left here. I want everybody to get the word about Rod End Supply. You sell great rod end supplies. Tell everybody how they could get it and what kind of product you have. I've only got about a minute.
Okay. Well, we're on Facebook. We also have of course, our web page. Rod End Supply. We've been around since 1989. We have rod ends. We have radius rods, aluminum swedge tubes. We have bird cages, bird cage bearings. We have threaded inserts for the side-by-side guys that are making their own suspensions for the side-by-sides and off-road vehicles. We've got a rod end that's 3/16 in diameter, and we go all the way up to 1 inch with an 1 1/4 inch thread. So we've got a lot of different sizes and a lot of different styles for whatever you're doing with it, whether it's farm equipment, race cars, or industrial equipment. We've got most all the rod end supply rod ends that you would need.
And what's your website so they can look it up there, Bob?
www.rodendsupply.com.
And you've been with us from day one. Bob. Thank you.
I've been around for a little while, haven't I?
We all have. All 20 years, bud. Thank you, Bob, for everything you do for us, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us on.
All right, Bob.
All right.
Thanks.
There's one of the nicest guys right there.
Great guy.
I mean, unbelievable guy.
And those Lightning Sprints are fast race cars.
Really fast, yeah. All right, hour number 2 coming up. You can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, RacingBoys.tv. It'll be Todd, Deidre, Kirk, and myself. We're going to cut Blake loose. We hope that you'll join us. Hour number 2, and it's all brought to you by Lucas Oil.
15.
Made in America, sold to the world. Again, thanks to Bob Douglas for joining us. Lee Spencer, hour number 2. We'll see you right around the corner on Track Talk.
Thanks, man.
Why do I run?
Good show, fellas, as always. Absolutely
Thanks.
professional.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good weekend.
You too.
God, no.
Of components. That's why Lucas Oil takes automotive protection so seriously. Lucas heavy-duty oil stabilizer bonds with motor oil to shield engines from heat and wear. So take pride in caring for your car and pass that pride and knowledge to the next generation for years of smooth, reliable driving on the long road ahead. Trust Lucas Oil. It works.
When
of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Shirt Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other ad specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Alumatech Products is the premier aluminum cabinet company as well as custom aluminum trailer manufacturer. They specialize in custom cabinetry and production units. All the cabinets are built in-house by exceptional craftsmen. Alumatech Products also offer truck caps that are built from the ground up, starting with a framework all the way to a complete build. The folks at Alumatech are driven to produce quality, long-lasting products through innovative design to best suit you. For more information, go to alumatechproducts.com.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum, and our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, SprintCarStuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
We not only look to the future, we design it. Our excellence and professionalism in craftsmanship, quality, and safety is unmatched in the industry. We are proud suppliers to some of the most elite race teams in the world. We build it, you drive it. We are here to help you win.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties. contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to Racing Boys, and if you ain't listening to them, you get out of the country because you're a communist. I love the Racing Boys. Like Mater says, they make me happier than a tornado in a trailer park. You know, the funny thing about that is the Larry voice and the Mater voice are exactly the same. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk.
I don't understand you sometimes.
Why?
I mean, why didn't you just stay in the same hotel you stayed at on Thursday night, do the show from there this morning, and then have a nice leisurely drive back in the daytime after the show is over today? Why do you have to drive back in the middle of the night to get all the way back home?
You guys are going to love this answer right here, because I'm not a puss.
That's not a good answer.
Kirk's, I don't understand.
That's not a good answer.
It's because I like it rough and tough and can't get enough. Do you know my uncle? Not my uncle. My grandpa. You know what his name was?
I don't recall.
Rough Harris.
Rough Harris. That's what you want to be.
You know what he used to tell people? Rough and tough and can't get enough. I'm a chip off the old block, aren't I, D?
But it just would have made more sense if you'd just stayed in the very same hotel you stayed in Thursday night, and just
there's no fun in that, Kirk,
and not have to struggle to get home last night.
What is the challenge of that?
I don't know. You know, when I drove in
why
this morning,
wouldn't you just jump in your car and drive 300 miles in about 4 hours and get home?
When I drove in this morning, I wasn't sure if I'd see the
Deidre,
Racing Boys truck in the driveway. I wasn't sure if I'd see the Racing Boys truck in the driveway or not. But it was. You were home.
Deidre, what? Get up the microphone. Get close to it.
What?
Turn it up. How many times, Deidre, in the last 3 years of us in our travels, do we stop at 4 in the morning?
A lot.
How often? When like Speed Week every night, right?
But you didn't have to do that last night.
Well, I know it.
You didn't have to do that.
Well, I know it. You know what it did, Kurt? It saved Racing Boys some money.
Well, my God, for having to struggle through, it would take me 2-3 days to get over what you just did if I tried to do what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's why, Kirk, we're working on a podcast.
Where you're not going to be doing so much traveling.
I'm not going to be doing as much traveling.
But you love the travel out there. You always told me you like it.
No, I love the travel. What I love about the traveling is the people that you meet on the road when you're traveling.
Yeah.
The relationships with the people that you meet when you're traveling in all these states around the country. But I want to sit right here in this chair and I want to yuck it up every day for no less than an hour, 90 minutes every day, Monday through Friday. And then we can play some of the best of on Saturday mornings. You know, the thing is that if we do the daily show, we'll be able to get anybody and everybody on that show. Because during the week, it's easy to get interviews, isn't it, Kurt?
Yeah, it's hard to book them for Saturday morning.
Saturday mornings is a tough one, right? So, if your company would like to be involved in the new podcast, which hasn't been named yet, get a hold of us at racingboys@racingboys.com. That's racingboys@racingboys.com. We've got some people that are interested in it, starting to get a little traction. Things are starting to come around. So if your company wants to be involved with it, just get a hold of us at racingboys@racingboys.com.
Hey, you don't know this news. Just found this out last night. Forgot to
What
tell
happened?
you about it. We've got an interview set up with Martin Truex Jr. at noon on Tuesday.
Oh.
And we'll play that back on next week's show.
Love
Martin Truex Jr. going to be on the show next week.
Love Martin Truex Jr.
Yep.
You know why? Because he's so passionate about ovarian cancer because of his girlfriend, Sherry. Right?
And she's seems to be a survivor.
She is, yeah. I lost my mom to ovarian cancer, so that's why it's a little near and dear to me. We'll talk about that and more with Martin Truex Jr. next week.
That's right.
But see, if we were doing that show...
We had to record it in the middle of the week. He wouldn't be available on Saturday morning.
Right.
No.
No.
I tried to get some drag racers on a couple of weeks ago for the Menards Nationals, and I couldn't even book a drag racer. We used to be able to do that.
Well, John Force used to come in here and sit down with us.
Yeah, but that was during the week, too. We had to record that.
Right.
But, that's one of the pitfalls of doing this show on Saturday morning is it's harder to book guests.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. I mean, we get them on. We found a way to get them on the air, but a lot of them we have to record. Some of them we get on live, but that's and we really don't want this show to be, overly guest driven, because we'd like to have time to talk about things. So
opinions will matter on the new show.
Yeah, and it should be for you. It should be opinion driven.
It's going to be a little more like the early days of Track Talk,
right?
If you like that. Some people didn't like that, Kirk.
And I'm not going to be your co-host. This is going to be a Scott Traylor show.
That's scary in itself.
Hey, if you invite me on as your guest every once in a while, I'll do that.
I'm going to have a lot of regular guests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be one of those guys.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to dedicate a period each week to the local racing scene around here.
Right.
Right? Make sure we get all of our local tracks on. So I'm gonna make sure that we reel that back in a little bit, because we've been out on doing the national stuff. But when we're home, we're going to make sure that we reel that stuff back in. And then we're also going to try to have the World of Outlaws with the late models, the sprint cars, USAC drivers, all-star drivers, ASCS drivers, USMTS drivers, USRA drivers, IMCA drivers, NHRA drag racers. We're going to try to do it all.
Get a lot of those guys in the studio.
Yeah.
Sit down with you.
Right.
And people are wondering, what's Kirk doing here? Well, I'm kind of retiring a little bit. I'm for those that don't know, I'm working at backing down a little bit. So I'm.
Let me just tell you what is going on, because Kirk likes to mince his words, because that's what he does. Kirk is going to be retiring and moving back to Iowa in the next year.
Oh, probably about a year from now. I'm making that announcement. Even some of my family members probably don't know that. But yeah,
they do now.
They do now.
Karen.
They've kind of gotten hints of it.
Brother's coming home.
Probably about a year from now, I'm moving back.
You're going to try to help me get this podcast going, though, aren't you?
Yes, I'll be around to help you out with that.
Because I'm a little scared about the podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, you shouldn't be scared. You've been doing this for, 25 years? I mean, you shouldn't be scared about it at all.
But I'm used to looking over there at you.
Yeah, but you're perfectly capable of handling this on your own.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works out.
I've been your sidekick for 20 years anyway.
22 years.
Yeah. I'm your sidekick.
You are not. Whatever.
Hey, this is all about you. It always has been.
Well, whatever. You can say that. All right.
I've had fun, though.
David says, hey, boys, wanted to let you know about a local connection to a midget racer named Taylor Reamer. She is a great girl. Her dad was classmate of mine at Whitworth Military Academy. My cousin Terry went to Whitworth Military Academy. Didn't help him much either. His name is Kirk Rimmer, and anyway, she is quite a racer, and I wanted to make sure you guys knew about her. Thanks for what you do. All right. I think there was a little left there, and I didn't read it all. Thanks for what you do for the racing community. Not a problem there, buddy. Appreciate that. We'll keep an eye out for her. She's probably raised by a good dad if he came from the Wentworth Military Academy. Now, my cousin Terry that went to Wentworth Military Academy didn't turn out so good for him. He was still ornery when he come out of there. They don't call it Wentworth Military Academy anymore, do they? They call it something else, I believe.
I have no idea.
Not a clue, do you, Kirk, what we're talking about?
Not a clue.
Well, all right.
Hey, I'll tell you what I'm not retiring being. I'm not going to retire being a race fan. I'm going to go to the races to the day I die. And if the races are as anything like we've seen in the last week, and I've said this many times on this show, the quality of the racing right now is as good as it's ever been. You know, I've been watching races since the 60s. Anybody who says that it was better back in the good old days, I don't think it's any better than it is right now.
Give me some Charlie Watts pictures.
The quality of the racing is as good right now as it's ever been.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
You think so? Ever?
It's as good as it's ever been.
That's a good question for everybody out there on the chat room. Is racing now as good as it's ever been? Oh, it closed down. Oh.
What closed down?
Wentworth Military Academy.
Did. Shut down.
It is racing as good as it's ever been. Are you getting anything, D?
I mean, that non-wing race that we saw last night.
May 31st.
This year?
2017.
2017. Oh. How about that?
That non-wing race at Kokomo last night's as good a racing as you'll ever see. The finish that we saw in the Outlaws up Wednesday night up at River City Speedway in North Dakota, great finish. The late models put on a hell of a show down at the Topless 100 last weekend. I mean, all across the board, especially in dirt racing, right now, it's as entertaining, as good as it's ever been. And the good thing about race fans now, if you can't get the racetrack, about everything's on live video right now. That didn't always used to be the case. So the race fan right now is being treated as well as
this is why
any time I can recall. And I've been around this game a long time, man. I've been around this game a long time.
So have I, 1966.
Yeah. Yes, you have. You're not quite as old as I am, but pretty close.
What was your first race? What year?
I think you got to go back to 66, 65, 66, somewhere in there.
Who'd you go to see to race?
I went to the old Ringgold County Speedway.
They raced on Wednesdays.
They called them jalopy races on Friday nights.
Didn't they?
Then they switched to Sunday nights after that. And then I went to Knoxville back in the 60s too to go watch.
We know Cappy fired you
to watch Hank Smith race.
Cappy fired you up
there.
Well,
that was after that was when I was about.
Kirk, you
20.
got all the cars wrecked up over there. What are you doing?
You flipped this car upside.
I know it, but that's Aaron Reitzel. But you got them all jammed up over our Lucas Oil sponsor logo there. You see that? That's money. That logo right there. And you got those cars pushed over there.
Hey, you're going to blame me for that.
You can't reach over there and move them right now while you're sitting there.
No, because if I moved them a certain way, you'd move it a different way. Now you're going to get up and do that. No, but Knoxville was one of the early tracks that I went to back in the 60s. Used to watch Ray Lee Goodwin race. One of my all-time heroes. And Ray Lee Goodwin is one of those guys that is even better when you meet him in person than he ever was growing up as a race fan, watching Ray Lee Goodwin race. I always loved him and revered him, but then he was even a better man after you met him in person. And that's one of the joys of my life, is to see your heroes, the guys that you really love to watch race and became fans of, even become better than you thought they would be. That was Ray Lee Goodwin. And he's, Ray Lee, we're thinking about you.
Come on, Ray. Keep fighting, buddy. You can do it.
We're thinking about you, man.
Keep digging. Just like 1968 Knoxville Nationals. Come on, Ray. You can do it, buddy.
And they honored the past Nationals champions at Knoxville. It was the 60th Knoxville Nationals, and they introduced all the past winners that were there. Steve Kinzer was one of them, 12-time champion, and they went all the way back. And they made mention of Ray Lee, who would have been there had he been able to be there, because he's been to Knoxville, used to go to all the Hall of Fame functions, and you'd see Ray Lee everywhere. He I remember a few years back.
After his ride passed, he slowed down.
And I remember they honored Ray one night up there. They had him in the back of a convertible. They took him around the Knoxville Raceway during the Nationals one time as one of the past winners. But I was very happy to see them mention Ray Lee, and hey, Ray Lee's watching right now. We're thinking about you, and as one of the past winners.
Come on, Ray, you can do this, buddy.
Yep,
you can do it. All right, Kirk Frog. He said, "Hell shows are by far the best in every division." Now, Frog, I-70 Speedway. You got to admit, the best years for I-70 were the 90s. In my eyes.
After it went pavement in 88.
You had ASA.
Right.
You had the Truck Series there. You had the World Cup.
Right.
I mean, the 90s were really...
It was a heyday.
I mean, the 70s weren't bad.
It was mostly dirt during the 80s. It was dirt from 82 to 7, or when was it?
80 to 87.
And then 88... They took the. I remember the first event back on pavement at 88.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the announcers. Helped out as one of the announcers.
Do you know who won that race?
I can't remember. Usually I got a great memory,
Billy
but
Deckman.
I can't remember. Did Billy Deckman win that?
Sure did.
And they ran the dirt modifieds on the pavement. Did they not that day? When it first went back to pavement.
But that's what everybody had dirt cars.
Yeah. I mean, these weren't the pavement modifieds that you drove. That we later saw out there.
No, they weren't like the cars that, like Fred built out of FRE.
I thought the pavement modifieds were one of the best-looking race cars
at
ever.
I-70?
You had one of those cars.
I think.
They were sleek. They were
great-looking modified. I think my car was the best-looking one.
It was a great-looking race car.
It was.
The Praxair car.
Thanks to Jeff Clem.
Number 16.
That's only because of Jeff Clem.
Yeah.
Did that car look
but you'd agree with me that the pavement modifieds were some of the great-looking cars that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
They're certainly better-looking modifieds, I think, than a lot of the dirt modifieds.
Jim says, I couldn't agree with you more, Kirk. I think racing is better now than ever, and I love the racing from the 50s, 60s, 70s to the present.
Yep.
Just me personally, I think I-70 itself was better in the 90s. Now, who's to say it won't be better from here forward, right?
Well, that was certainly a unique time. There weren't many racetracks across the country that raced on a weekly basis like I-70 Speedway. You couldn't go to many places anywhere in the country that was quite like that place back in its heyday in the 90s. That was unique, to be certain. And it was...
Lots of cars, great racing, and everybody stood up all night.
If you weren't entertained by Saturday nights at I-70 Speedway back in that period of time,
you were dead.
I mean, that drew fans from hours out every Saturday night to come down and watch that, because there were just no other place that ran a weekly show at that time like the pavement and the high banks at I-70 Speedway.
Come on now. I know we got more people out there. Just key in there. Is racing better today? And Todd, you can put up the phone number down there at the corner if you want. Somebody wants to call in. We're just freewheeling today.
Are we waiting on Lee to zoom in? Yep. So hopefully we'll see her here in a little bit.
Why? You can't.
She's back. Well,
you can't talk for 40 minutes.
Well, last week, she was on a phone on a cruise down the Mississippi River, and it cut out, and so it's been a while since we've seen her face. You know, I mean, she's been traveling for the last 2-3 weeks. So I just want to get her thoughts about Kurt Busch going to the new team over at what do they call that? 23-1 Racing.
Yeah, 23-11.
23-11.
Come on, Kirk. 23-1.
23-11.
Don't you know Roman numerals?
It took me a while to catch on to that it was Roman numerals when I saw that logo. But Kurt Busch is going to drive the 45 car.
I have nothing.
No,
23-11.
It's just
Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin. 23-11. What part of that?
Oh, okay, that's it. I get it now.
Oh, the light bulb just came on.
The light bulb came on. So anyway, Kurt Busch is going to be driving
23-11. I never would have figured that. Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin. Where in the hell you been, Kurt?
Michael Jordan roared 23, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you I went to a basketball game in Orlando, Florida during Daytona Speed Weeks?
Don't tell me you had a Michael Jordan encounter.
No. Here's the story. 1990.
This is a pretty good story.
I was down at Speed Weeks in Daytona, and the Orlando Magic played a home game against the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
In Orlando. I went to that game, and that night, Michael Jordan was not wearing 23. He was wearing a jersey
45?
number 45 because somebody stole his jersey.
I remember that.
And I was there that night that he wore a different number jersey than 23. So, how about that?
What do you think about Busch going to... First of all, did you see the new number on how they're going to do the numbers on the cars next year? Did you see it? You haven't seen it, have you, Kurt?
I don't like it.
What don't you like about it?
Just leave the numbers on the doors.
Don't push them forward?
No.
I think
leave it alone.
I think ASA did that once. Didn't ASA, if I'm not correct, I think ASA put the numbers on the quarter panels one year.
They did. I didn't like that either.
I think they did.
You know, I like the looks of the current Cup car right now. You know, they're changing this car. It's going to be a big change for NASCAR, going to this next gen car. Yeah, I'm kind of in a wait and see attitude how this is all going to look. We're going to find out next year, but they're going to it. But you know, to me, I don't know why you'd want to fix what's not broken right now. NASCAR's got pretty good looking race car as we speak, and they're going to go to change it. I'm just skeptical of how this is all going to shake out. We'll see.
It says Reitzel is due to return with the new team next week. Who's it going to be? Anybody know yet?
Well, you said he'd be back in a car with somebody because he's too good a driver.
Just like Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a wheelman, somebody's going to put you in a seat.
Well, in Reitzel, I'm not saying that he's a Christopher Bell or a Kyle Larson type, but he's a winner.
Yeah, I mean, you watched him back when he was racing with the Lucas Oil ASCS series and winning championships there. You had a pretty good up close and up front seat watching him drive back in those days. So
yeah,
I remember you saying, you know, what a talented race car driver he was at that time.
Right.
So it's, you know, when you're a great race car driver and you win races, you know, despite all of the things that Aaron Reitzel did to put himself in this position, at some point, if you're a good enough race car driver, you're going to find a ride.
Look who's checking in with us. It's Frog Hall. Hey, Frog.
Hey.
What are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
So what do you think? You think racing's better now than it's ever been?
I think it's better. I think I-70 would have been better.
You think
competition.
you think they should have left I-70 alone and kept it the way it was?
You know, I loved I-70. Obviously, both of us do.
Right.
Yeah, I wish that was the case. But, you know, it's like an old girlfriend. You just got to move on.
Sometimes they got to get a little nip and tuck.
Yeah.
A little raise job, you know, little face push up, some butt cheek implants, you know.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need that kind of stuff.
They did a beautiful job.
Oh, it is. It's nice, yeah.
I went out for the All-Star race. I'd had cataract surgery in April and didn't get to go to the World Outlaws, but beautiful racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful racetrack.
Yeah,
So-
no doubt. I just wish they raced there more.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to come of that, but they sure have the facility to do anything they want.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. How good is Kyle Larson? You've been around a long time. Just put in perspective what he's doing right now.
I think it's probably just near incredible. I can't wait to see him in an Indy car.
It's coming.
I'd like to see him in a Formula One car, but that won't happen, I don't think. You know.
Well, to be honest with you, Frog, if you're going to be known as one of the world's greatest drivers of all time, you really need to go to Formula One to prove yourself over there, because Mario Andretti did it. He was a champion there, right?
Well, exactly, and won, and you know, that's the next series to move up to prove what kind of quality driver you are.
Right?
Don't you think he just wants to do that? He wants to try all this stuff, does he not?
Oh gosh, yeah. I'd be disappointed if he didn't. Time's running out age-wise, but and you know, all those teams, they're bringing in 14-year-olds and they're testing, and they're in the program from 12 to 20 before they ever get a chance to even get in a car. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, hey, Frog, you're retired now, right? You're not going to get behind the wheel of anything anymore, are you?
Gosh, I turned 70 in March.
Does that mean you're too old?
No, actually, I'm in pretty good shape.
Right.
But people don't know this, but that I-70 wreck the first night of a modified division, I broke my back and my sternum in the same wreck.
Oh, wow.
And it was the L4. And I've raced some ARCA races after that. But I've just, you know, I like to travel. And it's so hard with this Menard series now and all the tech and all this. You got to operate like Jennifer does out of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be down there to do it, don't you?
And you know, here's the thing about Jennifer Cobb. So many people don't give her enough credit what she's done down there for 25 years.
People have no idea how hard she's worked.
Oh, my gosh. I did it for 4 years. How many years did you run ARCA?
Probably 15, 16, 17 years.
She's outlasted all of us down there.
Oh gosh. I'm impressed. You know, I know she runs probably not as well as she wants to. I know it's
she's making a living driving race cars. Not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig. Good for her.
Yes.
There's never been a woman in motorsports that's done what she has done.
Not really.
And for this long.
And what a slap in the face from NASCAR to not allow her to run that Cup race.
Well, and you know, the races she has excelled at were restrictor plate races. So it's kind of a no-brainer to let her start in that division, because she'd always done well in the trucks and the restrictor plates.
Right.
So I really didn't understand that. But
I mean, to talk about the length of time she has done this, I mean, she's been at this now for what, going on 20 years or more? How long has she been doing this?
Well, since about 98. She ran the first. She ran the first ARCA race out there.
She did.
What year did it open, Kirk? 2000?
2001.
2001.
Yeah, I thought she was like in the second one. I don't remember her being in the first one, but maybe she was, and I just don't remember it.
My first one was 03.
Right.
03.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us that have known Jennifer and followed her from day one, I mean, it's very impressive what she has, the sacrifices that she has made, and the stick-to-itiveness and the persistence that she's done this for this long.
You know what she could have done?
Is incredible to me.
You know what she could have done, Frog? She could have made, if she could have funded it, she probably could have been, I'm not sure she couldn't have been an ARCA championship contender at some point.
But yeah, she's talented. She just, she's running.
She's just in over her head. That's all.
Well, it just takes so much money and so much tech, and I think, isn't she married to an engineer?
Yes.
She's got some help with that.
Yeah.
But the funding. And she seems to have more funding now than she's had in the past.
I know.
So,
I think we could sit here today, Frog. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but Jennifer Cobb is the type of person that could be a great team owner.
If she had the resources.
If she had the resource. I mean, she's got the wherewithal and the personality and the drive that if she had the resources, I think she would be a great team owner for NASCAR.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, I think she already is.
Sure.
I think you're really not giving her the credit due if that's the case, because, like you say, she's stuck in there for 20 years. So she already is. She's just in the lower division. I saw Bob Keselowski the other day on a podcast talking about I-70 Speedway and said how much of a nemesis it was.
Well,
you remember that role he took in that truck race at one time?
Turn 1 and 2, right? Yeah.
And he likened the Truck Series to Cup. He said it was about as close to Cup as any series there was. And that, he basically went by Bush to talk about the Truck Series being...
You know what NASCAR needs to do? Develop another series that they did like they did the trucks in the beginning. Have a halfway break where you don't have to take a bunch of freaking people with you out there to do pit stops. You don't have to buy all the fancy equipment to do pit stops. You get a 10-minute break. You all go back out. You start where you came in. They need something like that, because those were the days when you and your buddies could put a truck together and go race.
Well, exactly. I went and ran some truck races. Some of them were starting park, but the fact remains is we didn't spend near the money a lot of the people spend, and had a pretty good time. And NASCAR treated us okay.
Well, ARCA was the same deal. I mean, listen, the car that Pontiac, that MB2 car that I had a fortune in that car. It was fast, but I had a fortune in it.
Well, the car that I raced, and you're familiar with it, you've seen it a couple of times.
Yeah.
That car was built in 1987. And when I crashed at the Kansas Speedway, of course, it knocked the ass off of it, but it was a 1987 race car. Carl Long said to me one time, he walked over, and I'd made the Nashville race. There were 73 cars there. I was a 38th qualifier, last time to make on time without a provision. He walked over and saw that bar that went across under your feet. He said, "How old is this car?" I said, "Carl, it was 1987. He couldn't believe it. So these cars have lasted a long time, and I don't know what they're going to do with all these cars that are going to go into dry dock.
I know it. Well, they need to do what they did for me. I went down to MB2. My car was a brand new car.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful car.
Brand new car. It had been tested. It had some cheater quarter panels on it. We had to fix those. But other than that, it was a brand new car, and it was a Kenny Schrader M&M's number 36 MB2 Cup car.
I knew you were cheating. I knew it.
Never cheated.
Hey, that hit.
Hey, listen, in ARCA, they'd bust you if you were cheating there.
Hey,
I cheated my ass off. I did everything you could think of.
Well, they didn't. Listen, when we run second down there with Boyer at Nashville, they tore our car apart like you couldn't believe, because that was only our second race as a team.
That's why. If you ran regular with them, you could cheat. Oh my God, you could cheat. You could have more fun cheating than you could have in bed.
You can only admit that now, right, Frog?
Right.
I used to take the car and physically never wash it underneath so they wouldn't check it.
Hey,
physically.
That hit you took at Kansas Speedway, that's before the soft walls, the safer barriers too, by the way. How hard a hit was that?
I don't know. I'd like to see an LNG meter. I can tell you, like I said, when I woke up, I was glad I was still alive.
Right. Right. Hey, Frog, we're going to have to let you go. We got Lee Spencer sitting here waiting on us.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Good talking
to
you,
Frog. Thanks for
Frog.
checking in, Frog. The Frog Hall. Let's bring in Lee Spencer now. She's hanging out. Lee, how you doing? I don't hear her.
We'll try to get...
Is her button turned on?
So. Her button's off. Her button's off.
Is it her button off?
Sorry about that.
There you go.
I can hear you now.
Now we can hear you. What's going on, Lee? How was your trip down to mighty Mississippi?
It was fabulous, and I finally have internet and a good connection, so we can actually have a conversation.
We haven't seen you for a while. You've been traveling across the country.
We have. I made the most of turning 60, and it started on actually friends here threw me a party in July. So.
Hey, you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Kirk didn't even realize the name of the team 2311.
No, I knew the team. What I didn't recognize was the logo. They had it they had it Roman numerals on the logo of the 11. So
he's moonwalking like Michael Jackson right now.
It took me a while to pick that up. Hey, you been to the Kurt Busch press conference? What was said there?
Just basically, it was a love fest between Denny and Kurt, and Denny spoke to all kinds of people who had worked with Kurt in the past. And, you know, I've been covering NASCAR since Kurt came to the sport, and the one thing, even in his most petulant early days, the crew guys always said he took care of the crew guys, and I've always told young drivers coming in that, and this is something I learned from watching Kurt, you know, he could be a handful at times, but he always showed respect to the guys that were working on his car, which is absolutely brilliant, because if you don't take care of your guys, they won't take care of you.
Now listen, Lee.
Yes.
I got to call Little Bull on that, because I've heard him on the radio ripping his crew before.
Yeah, but that's under that's under battle, right? I mean, you know, and I'm sure you lost your head a couple of times in the heat of the battle.
No, it cost me a championship. I know all about losing my head, for sure.
But, you know, it's kind of like, it's almost, you know, it's kind of like a marriage, right? You know, you have moments when you lose your whatever,
mind.
and then you come back with a bouquet of flowers or bottle of wine or, you know, some little nicety, and he's always really, you know, with those few moments where he loses his mind, other than that, he's, you know, really, really good to his guys.
Well,
and I've seen that over the years, time and again. His interior guys rave about how good he is to work with. And, you know, Denny said that he talked to a lot of people going into this deal, and they said, this is a guy you want to help build your organization.
Right.
And, you know, I asked Kurt if he felt like watching Kyle Larson go off and get into really good equipment, and he knew what the equipment was going to be like with his brother running over Joe Gibbs Racing for so long and working with turnkey equipment at 2311. And, you know, he said he's there are going to be so many unknowns with this new car. And remember, Kurt has probably been in the new car more than anybody else. And he said he was willing to take a job with a manufacturer to be their wheel force driver, right? Which would mean he would be the guy at all the tests just to tell the manufacturer
what they
needed to do, where they needed to make these changes, because Kurt's of that dying generation of guys who actually worked on their cars, you know, en route to coming and racing in NASCAR. And so he knows a car from the ground up. I mean, in all the years that I covered NASCAR, I think the best chassis guy I ever met was Rusty Wallace. And it was not unusual if you were at a place like Martinsville to see Rusty actually climbing underneath the car. You don't see that today.
No.
And I'm not sure that many of these engineers and
they don't want them under there.
They don't want them under there, right? But Rusty, back in the day, Rusty knew chassis and he understood chassis. But I think with Kurt's experience and his knowledge, he will be invaluable to help building 2311. And I think he can help Bubba a lot with circumventing the ups and downs, you know, in and out of the race car as well.
Kurt Busch seems like a different person than he was even 10 years ago. I mean, he has matured so much, and, you know, Todd and I talked about our interaction with him out at Kansas Speedway one time where you'd never see this in the past. He approached us, and he just seems a different person right now. He's really in a good place, I think.
State of mind.
His whole persona is really... it's really great to watch just how Kurt Busch has developed into the kind of person that he is right now, because at one time, let's be honest, he wasn't a very likable guy. Now he is, and I think that's great to see.
Well, I think he has a good off track life with Ashley, and I can remember when they were at Bristol, and this is when they had been dating for a while, and he said, "Hey, come to the motor coach," and I'm like, "Okay." So I come over there and goes, "We wanted you to be the first reporter to know that we're engaged." And they were like a couple of teenagers. I mean, it was really, really cute. And I think having somebody like Ashley in his life who has her own career, who is an accomplished polo player, and has done, modeling. I mean, she's the total package, and she didn't need his money because she brought her own to the table.
Right.
And so
there's a little peace of mind in that, right?
Oh, there's a lot, because he knows that she's there
for the right reason,
for him and not for the paycheck. And I think that I don't have to tell you in professional sports, there's a lot of, whether you want to, I don't know. There's
trophy queens.
Sure.
There's a lot of trophy queens out there.
There are, they call them buckle bunnies in rodeo, but they're
pit lizards.
It's kind of like an officer and a gentleman. They're looking for a naval aviator and instead of an Okie from Muskogee. And if I see my share over the years, but Kurt knew that Ashley comes from a very respectable background, and so it was a win-win for both of them, and they're quite the power couple, and I think that's given confidence to really mature and blossom into the man he's become.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable, because I would have never imagined Kurt Busch would become this type of person. I would have never thought that.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent an ample amount of time with him off the track, so I've seen, the fun and games Kurt, and he's a blast to hang out with, go to baseball games with, whatever. But it's...
he hit a lot of that, though, did he not?
I'm sorry,
I mean, he hit a lot of that personality. You knew him pretty well, but he hit a lot of that. Now he's just being himself, or becoming more of that.
I can remember when he came to, and maybe this, everything just happened so quickly, but when he was rebuilding his career after that, nonsense with, well, we won't even go into that chapter of his life, but, and he came back with Furniture Row Motorsports, and they set up a situation for him. So there was distance between him and the media, because I think he was a little bit claustrophobic in the big scrums And, you know, just kind of helped him ease him back into the game of interviewee kind of deal. And I think once he got past that and you know, his confidence was rebuilt because, you know, he was dealt a pretty nasty hand of cards over that. And, you know, the lack of support that he received from people in the sport, I'm not surprised that he ended up at Toyota, quite frankly. And I you know, heard through the grapevine that Chevrolet hated to lose him, but maybe they should have thought about where they were in you know, lending him support back in the day.
But you got to admit, though, Kurt Busch is seasoned at this point in his age, right? I mean, he's had more ups and downs than most drivers in the Cup Series.
And he won a championship very, very young, right?
Right.
I mean,
what was that, 90?
2003. And that's, he was just, or 2004, he was just a young guy. And, you know, now he's 43. And it's hard to believe this, you know, because he's been around for so long, but he's only 2 years older than Denny. You know, they're more contemporaries. I mean, we think of Denny as being so young, but, you know, Denny turned 40 last November. He's going to be 41. So there's really only 2 years between these guys. And I guess, the biggest difference between the two of them is the fact that Kurt's got a championship. And that's the one thing, you know, Denny has had his opportunities and has never really executed when it comes to the big race. And so it's, you know, one of the things, and I've got a pretty interesting preview that I'm going to post, this press conference coming up. When it did, it you know, kind of took me off my game a bit. But I think that, you know, Denny and Kyle, who are good friends off the track, play golf together off the track. You know, I think watching them, the little banter back and forth between Kurt and Denny was about deposits and withdrawals and who was going to help who tonight, right? Because Kurt's in a Chevrolet, Denny's in a Toyota, but, you know, Kurt knows where his bread's buttered, and it would mean a lot to the whole Toyota camp to be able to have Denny get those 15 bonus points after tonight to be the regular champion. But you know, Kyle Larson has the advantage right now going into the race, not from how he's run on restrictor plate tracks, but just how he's run overall.
You think Kurt Busch is more appealing to a team like 23XI because of his stint with Furniture Row, you know, helping that team go through the growing pains, knowing what it takes to take a smaller team and make it a larger team? You think that was appealing to Denny Hamlin in the 23XI team with Michael Jordan? You think that was part of the process of them thinking, he's been down this road, he knows what to do, he could be to a big advantage of us because he could tell us, oh, don't do that, we made that mistake over at Furniture Row? You think that's a possibility?
I honestly believe, Scott, that had Kurt stayed at Furniture Row, he'd have multiple championships. You know, because Martin Truex Jr. had not really blossomed as a driver. I mean, yes, he had 2 Xfinity Series championships, but that's, you know, that's a whole different caliber of racing than racing at the Cup level. And with Cole Pearn, who was actually, you know, Kurt tried several times to get Cole to be his crew chief because the two of them click, and he knows that there's something magic about Cole Pearn. There's just, you know, something, he's driven, he's, you know, very steady, and that's the kind of guy that Kurt needs. I don't think he's been paired with the right crew chief since he arrived at Ganassi Racing, but I think the relationship that he had with Cole Pearn, they would have had multiple championships had he not left. And I also think that, you know, Kurt does well in a single car situation, but I will say that one of the things that Denny pointed out is that he thinks that Kurt runs better in organizations where he's got a a high level of competition. And whether that was at Roush Fenway Racing, where you had 5 cars and any of those 5 cars could win on any given week. When he went to Team Penske and had absolutely, solid teammates throughout his tenure there. When he was at Stewart-Haas Racing, and it was him and Tony, and Kevin Harvick, or he and Kevin Harvick and, Tony and that whole group, it really pushed Kurt to be the best he can be. And, he really hasn't had the equipment to do that at Ganassi after Kyle Larson left. Nothing against Ross Chastain, but he's not the caliber of driver of a Kyle Larson or Kevin Harvick or Tony Stewart or anyone else that, Kurt raced with. So putting them under that, Toyota umbrella, and it's going to be a situation where it's going to be a 6-car team. I mean, you can put 2311 on the door. Yes, they're going to be someplace separate. It's a 6-car team, and that's kind of how you have to look at it going forward. And with Kurt competing against a guy like Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, that's going to elevate his, competition level when he hits the track.
All right, tonight, is it going to rain? It's surely going to rain again today, right? It is going to rain. It always does in Daytona. So are we going to see a race tonight or not?
Fingers crossed we're going to see a race today and then one tonight. I pulled up the radar last night, and it was just, I don't even know how they got that race started. So the fact that they knocked out 19 laps, bravo to that. But we've had this conversation on here too. If you're going to race in Daytona, race during the daytime, because at night,
right,
late afternoon, you're going to have storms, and it's not enough time to get it down. It's one of the reasons. I mean, as much as I love going there and love watching the action, I hate waiting out the rain at Daytona. It's absolutely miserable.
I hate to throw the car back in reverse, but do you think that Kurt Busch will win in that car in the first year?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. He's got an 8-year winning streak going right now, where he's won at least one race a year. And I have no doubt once he gets into that program, and as much testing as he has, and how, he's become quite intimate with this new car and with the amount of testing that he's done. And I think he has that's an advantage for him going into this. And just the fact that he wanted to be, a test driver. And he said that, in the conversations he's had, that, he's interested in helping NASCAR bring this car to fruition. And, if that can be one of his contributions, making this car, competitive and making it hopefully the best car, and making the best product that we've had in a long time, then, I'm all for it. But I think that if Kurt can go, go to an organization like a Joe Gibbs Racing with Joe Gibbs Racing cars, if he's got
technology,
the right crew, and that wasn't asked today, I think they can make it happen.
I noticed the Penske guys switch spotters. You think that's in preparation for Brad leaving and taking his spotter with him when he goes over there to Roush?
I absolutely do, because he and TJ Majors are very close.
I know it.
And, that was kind of part of that little group where they all started hanging out together when they were really, really young. And TJ was over with, Dale Jr., and Dale Jr. hired Brad Keselowski. So,
and the way I understand it, Lee, is that the 22 car, Logano, went to the team and said that he would like to take Brad's spotter and bring him over to him because they're best friends as well. So this was kind of a win-win for everybody here, wasn't it, a little bit?
It was a win-win, and the other part of this equation was TJ, and you almost have to go back like one more generation of spotter swaps, because TJ and Brad were always friends, right? But Brad had a really stellar spotter in Joey Myers. Joey Myers was his pilot and his spotter. And for whatever reason, the two of them had a falling out, which kind of blew my mind because I always thought Joey, with his pilot skills, made him like the top guy up on the roof. And I say that, but when Joey decided it was time for a change, he asked Brad if it would be okay if he, took TJ, and they kind of agreed to go together because Joey's really good at restrictor plate racing, and TJ, having been with Dale Jr. all that time, I don't have to tell you what Dale Jr.'s record was on restrictor plate races. So they thought that putting them together, the chemistry would be outstanding, and it really proved right.
Yeah.
All right, we got some big things to shoot for tonight. A lot of stakes on the line.
Spit it out, Kurt.
You got teammates for RCR, Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon, that are probably going to decide this last playoff spot if nobody else comes from the outside to win. And you got a regular season championship on the line. Kyle Larson, who admitted he was points racing at Michigan last week. He was thinking about points more than he was thinking about winning the race. But why? I mean, there's big stakes on the line with those 15 playoff points if he nails down that regular season title.
Hey, Lee.
But that blew my mind that Kyle actually came out
admitted
and
it.
That. When you think about it from the standpoint of, in all the years, we're talking 8 years now, right, that Kyle has been racing in NASCAR, he has never even sniffed a title.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And Kyle has shown over the last 2 years he can win anywhere, anytime, and in anything.
Right.
But the one thing that we haven't seen him do, with the exception, I think, of one USAC midget title, was win a championship throughout his career. And so
he's the champion of the people.
Good. That's a good one. And he's already got a caravan of people following him around from track to track to track, which I don't know if you all have seen that in open wheel before, where
they're like deadheads. They're like deadheads.
They are like deadheads, which I can absolutely relate to.
Yeah.
Listened to a little bit of Crazy Fingers this morning.
Oh, good for you.
Before yoga, but I think that's the Hendrick influence, because no one's won as many Cup championships titles in general as the Hendrick group at this point. And so I think that they have him thinking, his philosophy has changed. And because Chevrolet wants championships, Hendrick wants championships. And, but to hear that come out of his mouth, it's like, when the hell did he grow up? Right?
It was amazing. Amazing to hear him say that.
Well, I mean, we're just so used to Kyle Larson never giving up and always relentless and always charging to the front. And when he's not charging to the front, you go, hold on now, don't be that guy, because that's not what we want to see out of Kyle Larson. We want to see Kyle Larson take the chance and go for it and go for the win. Nobody wants to watch him points race.
Yeah, but it was the smart play last week.
I don't care. Nobody wants to watch him point race.
This is a big deal. This 15 playoff points are a big deal, man.
I don't care. Nobody wants to watch him point
Larson
race.
is yet to post a top 5 at a restrictor plate track, though.
Well, you hear what he said about tonight's race? He's not even thinking about winning tonight. He's thinking about, I just got to get in and get out. That's what he pretty much said last week about tonight's race.
I think he knows that those 15 points on the line, that he can't afford to, just lay back, and he's got to have good people going with him.
He's going to go for it tonight.
He has to,
Yeah.
and because there's just those 15 points are mega.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Well, he doesn't want Denny Hamlin winning this race tonight, that's for sure.
Hey, Lee, when are you going to be back on Press Pass?
I was supposed to be on there last week, so.
But you were on the river.
And I was on the river, and they, they probably had a better. Reed's going to be on today. I was supposed to co-host on my birthday, actually, and I had to turn that down. So, because I couldn't get at a studio.
Sirius Satellite Radio, XM Sirius Satellite Radio, needs to have a Lee Spencer show.
Well, I could work on that, but
I can't wait to hear Reed's takes on things.
In fact, you know what? You guys just should do a show together.
That we've actually done that before.
I bet it was good.
I forget which one it was, but we like co-hosted something one time. It was a hoot, but I think that's been a while because a lot of times when they need somebody double host, it's during the winter months and we're usually out of the country.
What dirt race you gonna watch tonight?
That's a really good question because after I watched Kokomo and Donnie just clean everybody's clocks, Donnie Schatz in World of Outlaws, I switched over to your broadcast and saw one of the most horrific accidents I have ever seen in my life. And I was wondering if you guys have an update on that driver.
He's okay. He was signing autographs after the race.
I thought they were airlifting him out.
They didn't airlift him out. He was complaining of leg pain. They were going to transfer him to the hospital, and I'm not sure if they did or not, but he was signing autographs.
I thought they did take him to the hospital.
Well, all I know is he was down afterwards signing autographs after the race.
Huh.
Wow.
But let me tell you, Lee.
Scotty Cook was all over that.
That was one of the scariest wrecks I've seen in a long time. I don't know.
It was brutal.
Hey, listen, I had it. But it was so scary, I missed it.
That was you shooting the camera on the roof?
That was me, yeah. That was my rookiness.
Okay.
So,
I got nothing.
yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah. I'm not on air anymore. I'm behind the lens.
Okay.
Hey Lee, have you seen a better non-wing sprint car race than one we watched last night at Kokomo? I mean, that was incredible race.
Justin Grant, I love to watch him race. I think he's a really smart driver, and he works on his own equipment all the time, and I think that really gives him a good sense as to what's going on. But
yeah,
that's such a great track, and he did a phenomenal job.
I mean, there were several different drivers there that really had a shot at that thing. I mean, you looked at Kyle Cummins, and for earlier, Tanner Thorson looked like he was going to be the guy.
He faded.
And then what about the late run that Chris Windham had to come up there and finish second? I mean, there were so many things to talk about at that race that, I mean, it was just an incredible non-wing sprint car race.
It wasn't. I mean, the fact that Tanner was able to get up there around Kyle, and then Kyle got back around Tanner, it changed. It changed so much. And, the World of Outlaws, Donnie had dropped a fourth and then just all of a sudden blew out to a 4-second lead. And it's...
He had the bottom of the racetrack really working last night up at I-80.
And that's what I think Tanner needed to change his line. I think Tanner didn't change his line quick enough to be a factor because I think he might have had the car. I mean, Kyle looked stronger than he did, but Justin to recover the way he did, I think we're just spoiled. We have some of the best racing going on right now.
I got to ask you about Brad Sweet's win at River Cities on Wednesday night. What an incredible finish that race was to beat Sheldon Hodenshield there by an eyelash at the finish.
Well, and Sheldon was a factor, last night too, and but yeah, Brad kind of put on a clinic. I would put Brad Sweet against anybody in traffic. I think that he is so masterful when it comes to working the traffic, and I think that is why he's a two-time champion.
All right, Lee, what do you got coming up on Racing Boys?
I have my preview, and it's like you were saying, I'm pretty much talking about the Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon deal because I look at it from the perspective that we're not really sure. If we have the woulda, coulda, shoulda moment, it came last week at Michigan when Brad Keselowski took out Austin Dillon. And I thought it was uncalled for, and I thought Brad was pretty sheepish about it afterwards. And
he hooked him.
I'm sorry, what?
He hooked him. He hooked him.
He hooked him. I mean, that, and, you know, just because he was racing him hard coming to the finish, you know, Brad's already securely in the playoffs, and
he pinned.
Austin's fighting for his playoff life, and to see Keselowski kind of lose his mind like that for a moment was very un-Brad-like.
He pinned him down on the apron too long. He should have stayed off of him. Once he saw him drop to the apron, they went across the start-finish line. He should have moved to the right and just got off of him.
It was not cool.
No.
But as I say in the story that I'm going to put up as soon as I get off the air, you know, I really think that makes Austin the sentimental favorite. Not only does it make him the sentimental favorite, he's got the best average finish of the 15 drivers still on the outside looking in.
And he's won at Daytona, yes.
Right.
And so yes, you're absolutely right. And he won the Daytona 500. And if he wins tonight, it's a feel good. You know, Tyler Reddick pulls out big races at big moments. He's won at Daytona in the truck race. He's won at Daytona in the Xfinity Series. His first 3 starts in a Cup car, he wrecked. His fourth one, the 2021 Daytona 500, he finished 27th. And so Daytona has not been kind to Tyler Reddick, but he has been known to step up at the big moments. So I look at those two and then, you know, talk a little bit about a third driver, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who absolutely takes no prisoners when he's out on the racetrack. Now, Stenhouse predicts that it's going to be a very calm race into the final 10 laps, with the exception of the 8 car, the 3 car, and the fight for the championship between the 11 and the 11 and the 5. So I'm not sure. I believe calm would be a word I would use for, you know, the first X number of laps. But if there's somebody who is completely balls to the wall, doesn't give a damn about hurting anyone's feelings, it's going to be Stenhouse. And, you know, if it's not somebody who's already won that wins, my money's probably between Austin Dillon and Stenhouse, you know, just going after it.
Right, no doubt about it. All right, Lee, we got to let you go. We appreciate your time, as usual, here on Track Talk.
What do you guys got going on this weekend? Anything fun and exciting?
Well, I know that I got in at 5 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And I'm going to go take a nap.
I'm still trying to figure out why he drove all the way back from Waikini last
that's what
night,
I do.
when there was a perfectly good hotel room right nearby he stayed at the night before.
Lee, that's what I do.
I'll let you two discuss amongst yourselves. I was just hoping we'd have some.
All right, Lee. Thanks so much.
He made it back safely, though, so that's a good thing.
Sweet dreams,
right.
Scotty boy.
Well, I was worried about my girl. I had to make sure she made it home. All right. See you later.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Feels better. Take care.
All right. So Michael White says, World of Outlaws is the best ever. Competition is so close. Very seldom we see someone pull away. And lots of great local talent coming up through the pipeline as well.
Yep.
I want to give a shout-out to Ayrton Jeniton, who
How about that?
picked up the win last night at Tri-City Speedway.
He won last Sunday night down at the fair.
Yeah, with Moa. Picked up the 360 win, but there was only 17 cars there last week.
Yeah.
Only 15 last night, so I can't say much. But started 4th, won that race at Tri-City last night. Ayrton Jeniton is coming around. Well, that kid is going to be something.
It's just a matter of time before he becomes, doing a lot of what Brian Brown has done.
Steven
He'll
says,
be at that level.
He says, I really liked it, I-70 in the 80s with the U.S. Dirt Invitationals. Chris says, hands down, the racing is better today. Agree with Kirk.
Yes.
Kirk Kirk, you just like somebody agreeing with you. That's what
I mean,
yes.
come on, you can't disagree that this racing that we're watching right now is not as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, no,
I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
Jim said maybe I should clarify. I think racing in general is better now than ever.
Yeah.
However, I think weekly racing has some better days. Has had some better days.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Personally, I think Mark Olson days at Lakeside were the best. 3 divisions, very good car counts, well organized shows. Started at 7:30, normally finished around 10:30. Too many divisions at the weekly shows now. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I guess what I'm talking about is the series that you see all across the country, the big time World of Outlaws, the touring series. That's what I'm basically talking about. He's absolutely right. Weekly racing is not what it was. The car counts are not there. Too many classes. They
Specials
drag these shows.
Good.
They drag these shows on to all hours of the night. A lot of places.
It's all about the specials.
Yeah. Hey,
who would have ever thought that we just talk about specials?
Right.
Right.
But I mean the special and the fan is really getting the good end of the deal now with all these races being on live. People's got access to watch these races all over the country because everybody's doing live video.
Quit saying that. Nobody will go to the races.
But people are going to the races.
No,
I mean, we're seeing big
know it, but
crowds
if you
in a lot
keep
of
telling them they can watch it on TV, they'll quit going.
Well, I mean, I don't have to tell people that. They already know that.
All right, Jerry says there was a driver, 78 years old, at Lakeside last night in the stock car division, a pavement late models driver from Texas back in the day. I'm not sure who that was. Vicky, she must be talking about Jennifer Jo Cobb. She has never received the recognition she deserves. She has traveled overseas to promote her sport.
Yep. Well, we've given her recognition on this radio show. We've done it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hey, one other thing before I go.
I want to shout out to Ricky Millsap. He's listening down in Florida right now.
Yeah. One other thing before we go. Central Missouri Speedway's got its final points night tonight. Gunnar Martin holds a 42-point lead over Dennis Elliott tonight in the A-Mod class down at Central Missouri Speedway. Jacob Ebert with a 14-point lead over Terry Schultz heading into tonight's race at CMS in the B-Mod class. So we'll keep
Don't
tabs
step
on
out
that.
of line down there. You get kicked out.
Yeah, be careful.
Drinker Donald says Brad has always been that guy. Just go back and look at Edwards and his conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, those two didn't like each other.
They did not like each other.
Well, it's unfortunate that it came. I mean, he and Brad Keselowski knows that Austin Dillon is tied into this championship. I mean, he just didn't need to do that. I mean, we all know he's smart enough to know what the situation was with him. So for him to put himself in that kind of a spot is surprising. Maybe not. I don't know. But we'll see how it all goes out between Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon for that final playoff spot at Daytona.
All right, I want to remind everybody tonight we've got 2 broadcasts going on Racing Boys tonight. So if you want to watch it, all you need to do is sign up with the RacingBoys.tv app. Tonight we've got USAC NWRA Sprints at Salinas Speedway. And we also have the ASCS Frontier Region at Big Sky Speedway in Billings, Montana. On Sunday, tomorrow, we're going to have ASCS Sooner action from Creek County Speedway. So if you want to check out any one of those 3 broadcasts this weekend, you can do so by going to RacingBoys.tv. Again, that's RacingBoys.tv. And again, you can find our app on iOS, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, and Fire TV. So if you want to watch it on your television.
9 broadcasts. We're going to have 9 events over Labor Day weekend.
Not bad.
How about that?
It's pretty good.
Saturday alone, I think we got 4 different events on Saturday alone next weekend. Yeah. So the Master Control here and the Racing Boys World Headquarters is going to be a busy place next weekend, trying to coordinate everything that's going to go on next weekend So
it's going to be busy down at Lake Ozark Speedway,
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
You know, there's other things outside of the studio, Kurt.
I know it, but I got to watch all of it.
Like your... Okay. You know,
Make sure you...
He likes to complain about he has to watch all of it, but then he doesn't mind watching all of it.
Well, I'm going to be more tuned in to what Racing Boys are doing than the other events going on next weekend. We got a lot on our own plate to watch next weekend. So, yeah, you're going to be over there to Lake Ozark Speedway next weekend. So that's going to be a big show as part of that big 9-event weekend that we've got over Labor Day weekend.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show today. Good show. I want to thank Bob Douglas, Lee Spencer for joining us. And again, if you are interested in being a part of our podcast that we're trying to put together for next year, a Monday through Friday podcast to be a midday show, and then we'll play the best of a lot of it on Saturday morning. If you'd like to be a part of that show, all you need to do is get a hold of us at racingboys@racingboys.com. Again, that's racingboys@racingboys.com. For Deidre, for Todd, for Kurt, for Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Lucas Oil's Track Talk.
And I'm worried, yeah. I got the nerves of baby, where you been? I love you, Leah, but you let me go. Don't need another mother's